Welcome to the AACFB's 2026 Meet the Funder webinar series. My name is Monica Harper. I'm the Executive Director of the AACFB, and I will be your host. Our presenter today is Ron Elwood from Navitas Partner Funding. Navitas is both a funding source member and a silver sponsor of the AACFB, and I'd like to thank them for their support of the association. Before I turn it over to Ron, I'd like to go over a few things to make this webinar more enjoyable and informative for everyone. During the presentation, you should see a Q&A box that allows you to ask questions. If you have any questions during the presentation, please submit them in the box and they will be answered by the end of the webinar. The entire webinar should take no more than 30 to 45 minutes. And for those of you who'd like to go to review this at a later date, it will be posted on the 2026 Meet the Funder page of the website and it will be emailed out to the AACFB membership. At this time, I will turn it over to Ron. It is all yours.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Monica. Thank you to AACFB for allowing us to present today. And thanks to all of you for joining us today. Looking to learn a little bit more about Navitas Partner Funding. And oh, by the way, it is the semifinals of the World Cup. So thank you for being here instead. I know there's a lot of interest in that game. So we've long been proud AACFB sponsors here at Navitas, and it's always a privilege to present on these Meet the Funder calls as we've done for several years in a row now. And I'm very excited to present and hope that Navitas might represent some very real value as a potential funding source to many of you listening in today. So to introduce myself to everyone very quickly, my name is Ron Elwood. I am the Senior Vice President with the Partner Funding Division here at Navitas. I've been with the company for 9 years, and with over 18 years of experience in the industry, I know a number of you attending the call today, and I hope to soon meet any of you that I don't yet know. My team here in South Carolina consists of 21 folks that work in business development, credit, or funding roles. So that's who we are. We represent the broker originations team at Navitas. I always like to point out that the founder of our team here in South Carolina actually attended the very first NAELB meeting all those years ago. NAELB, of course, was later to become AACFB. And we have been active members of the association ever since. I believe my very first conference that I attended was back in 2005. So again, very, very strong affinity for AACFB and a long history with our company. So a little bit about Navitas. So as the broker division of Navitas, we pride ourselves on being a very solid, consistent, and dependable funding source to our partners. In fact, we're extremely proud of the fact that we've never ceased funding for our brokers, even for a single day. That includes through COVID, this downturn, or otherwise. And times like these are really a prime example that with a lot of uncertainty out there in the market, it's good to know that your key partners are on solid footing. We do lend on a nationwide basis, mostly to small to medium-sized businesses, and we originate business through a number of targeted channels, and we deal in a number of equipment types, industries, and a wide geography, of course. So that makes you Navitas pretty uniquely equipped to offer the best possible solutions to your customers. In case you missed it a few weeks back, there was some really exciting news that came out around Navitas. And that was that we've been owned by United Community Bank since 2018, but we are being acquired by Wafra for roughly $1.8 billion. This comes about as a result of our having outgrown the community bank structure. And so that's going to allow us the support that we need. It's going to provide us the capacity that we need for our ongoing growth. And so I'll take a second just to read the quote by our CEO, Mike Bruman. As we look to the future, our growth trajectory and ambitions called for a different capital structure. In Wafra, we could not have found a better partner to support our ambitions. Wafra understands our industry, brings deep sector expertise in specialty and equipment finance, and is committed to investing in our future. So needless to say, we are thrilled about the added flexibility and growth potential that this brings to our company, and in turn, the value that that represents for our broker partners. One thing that makes Navitas unique is we're made up of two separate teams under the Partner Funding Division umbrella, one focused on asset-based lending and the other on credit-based lending. So first, Ultimate Financing in Grand Island, Nebraska is an asset-based lender that views deals primarily from the perspective of the type of collateral that's being financed. They lean more towards collateral types such as titled equipment, industrial, car wash, construction equipment, and so forth. They know and understand those types of equipment and the business profiles of the borrowers that work in those spaces. And that allows for customized, structured approvals that are really effective at getting those customers the equipment that they need and satisfying their financing needs. My team, the Partner Funding team in Columbia, South Carolina, on the other hand, we emphasize key credit aspects in the underwriting process. So we're looking at elements like time in business, personal credit, comp borrowing history, mortgage history. We're leaning on those aspects of the credit itself in order to make our decisions. And so it allows us to be more generalists in our collateral and industry appetite. And we are able to consider higher soft cost transactions as a result of that too. We finance everything ranging from medical practitioners to restaurants, 100% software transactions, franchise transactions, office furniture, things along those lines. It really is all about the credit for our credit team. Just as a heads up on a few types of collaterals and industries that we do not consider at Navitas, you'll see some of those on the screen: long haul trucking, sleeper cabs, car haulers, aesthetic lasers and med spas, salvage or rebuilt titles, solar panels. Those are a few restricted areas that we get asked about pretty frequently. I will note that even though long haul trucking is restricted, we are able to consider local delivery and service vehicles, vocational vehicles, as it relates to titled equipment specifically. Just no long haul or over the road or sleeper cabs. Of course, the list of equipment and industries that we can consider is very wide ranging. So of course, we couldn't fit all that on the screen, but pretty much everything else that you don't see on the screen, we can consider. Now we'll take a look at some of the various programs and services we provide that give our broker lessor partners the tools to grow your vendor and customer relationships. Navitas is first and foremost an A to, we would say, C+ credit quality funder. And so we work with sources ranging from a small one-man broker shop to larger lessors that hold their own paper. We work with sources that strictly broker transactions, maybe discount deals. We even purchase portfolios from sources on a monthly basis from time to time. As opposed to some other lenders in the marketplace, we do not auto score transactions. And we have a very experienced credit team that makes common sense decisions based on the information provided, and of course, third-party reporting that we will pull. We use all of that in our underwriting process. Despite the fact that we do not auto score, we are, of course, very cognizant of response times, and we're proud to be among the industry leaders as it relates to how quickly we're able to turn deals. Especially on app-only requests, we normally respond within about a 2 to 4 hour time frame. Because we're reviewing full financial statements on commercial deals, response times there would be a bit longer, of course. Our primary product is our app-only program, and that's available up to $250,000, potentially up to $350,000. And we have a full financial program, potentially up to $2 million or more. Startup deals are considered up to $50,000 if they have good credit and they also the borrower also has prior industry experience. And as I mentioned before, we finance titled equipment as well. Some experts work with our partners to tailor custom programs specifically to meet your needs and the needs of your customers and vendors. Some examples of that sort of an approach would be, custom documentation, structure, or just needing to underwrite the transaction in a unique way based on what that particular credit or industry might require in order to effectively underwrite. Maybe you're working on a specific collateral that requires the process to be a little bit different. We're for that. After all, we know not everything fits perfectly within a singular credit box or credit grid, so to speak. And so we're open to those sorts of customized approaches to help us all win business and programs along those lines. We can also be flexible with the structures that we offer, such as zero advances, deferred payments or seasonal payments, unique residual situations, and so forth. So while most of the business that our brokers fund through Navitas is for small to medium-sized businesses, we certainly do our share of transactions for larger borrowers that would qualify on a corp-only basis without personal guarantees. If they're established companies and have a prior history of borrowing on a corp-only basis. Also, I'll mention that pre-funding of qualified vendors prior to equipment delivery, potentially up to 100% in some cases, that's something we're very much accustomed to, and we do that on a regular basis. As I mentioned earlier, we've been in the space for a long time, and that includes in our credit area, where average tenure amongst our credit analysts is north of 7 years with Navitas alone. And so that experienced credit team means you can count on consistent decision making. You can know that when you submit a deal to Navitas, you're going to get very consistent responses back. We're looking at aspects of the deal like, as I mentioned before, time in business, ownership, location, industry, exposure, the borrower's ability to repay, the requested equipment, how it's going to be used, and probably most important for our broker sources is that consistency in weighing all of this out and using both a common sense approach as well as a singular credit policy that we apply across the board at Navitas. And so that consistency, we hear time and again that it's very much appreciated on the part of our origination partners. When you send a deal to us, you pretty well know what to expect in reply. Something else that's pretty unique about Navitas is that we allow our brokers to have direct access to our credit and funding analysts. So the people that are actually hands-on working your transactions in those areas, you can communicate directly with. You don't have to work through a relationship manager to get clarification on your deal in any way. So with our team, you get knowledgeable, experienced reps providing fast and common sense decisions to the deals that you're sending to Navitas. This particular slide, if you've ever fought the fight with a customer trying to explain what interim rent is and why it's charged, you know this is a big one. We do not charge interim rent. We know that can really make things complicated when you're discussing terms and structure with your customer. So our brokers often tell us that that's another aspect they appreciate about working with Navitas. It's worthy of its own slide, as you can see. So Navitas is really does have an industry-leading broker portal, and we're very proud of our broker portal from the standpoint that it is a site that was built in-house by our developers, and so it really does meet the specific needs of our broker lessors. The system allows you to see your history of applications with Navitas and the current status of deals that are in process. Once a deal is approved, the document generation system that we utilize includes DocuSign functionality. And for you, there's the flexibility to choose to use our documents in our name if you're strictly brokering a deal, or if you're looking to assign or discount, you can use our generic documents in your name. Documents can be generated just to PDF if you wanted to just email the documents for a wet ink signature by the customer. Or the system also allows you to send them directly to the customer for electronic signature, as I mentioned before, utilizing DocuSign functionality. On top of that, the site allows you to keep up with the status of that DocuSign envelope and manage that DocuSign envelope in a number of different ways, from correcting the email address to resending or voiding the envelope altogether. And as a convenience and a free offering to our dedicated broker partners, we also offer a program that allows you to submit a doc request form and have us prepare documents on your behalf. We also offer an electronic acceptance and activation that allows us to fund without having to track a customer down for verbal verification. As you know, sometimes finding a customer by phone can be very difficult to track them down sometimes. And so completing this electronic acceptance and activation that basically has them answer all the same questions they would otherwise on a verbal can really speed up the process quite a bit. And that's a huge convenience for everyone, for you, for us, for the customer, and your vendor. So we're big fans of that particular document and the functionality and convenience it affords. One section of the broker portal includes some sales tools I wanted to highlight that our brokers have found really to be invaluable. In addition to general reference materials that you'd find useful in working with Navitas, we offer generic sales flyers that you can use to market to your vendors and customers. We also offer a good customer report, which is a list of good paying customers and reflects a pre-qualified amount that you can use to remarket to them for additional business. There's preview a deal functionality, and that gives you an easy path to sort of testing the water with our credit team before you formally submit a transaction to see if Navitas thinks it might be a fit. And you can even check to see if there are any restrictions at Navitas with regard to any specific states, equipment, or industry types. So a lot of very useful functionality to the broker portal. All of that said, technology is great and it really can be tremendously helpful, as we know. But before I wrap up, I wanted to really mention that above all else, you'll find that at Navitas, we're very much relationship oriented. We believe that the best business you can do is the business you do working with strong partners that you really know well. And we really do live by that every day. That's why, as I mentioned before, when you send a deal to us, you don't have to go through a sales rep when you work with us. You can have direct contact with the credit and funding analyst. We want to get to know you and your business in all areas. Let's get to know you and your credit and funding personnel if you have a larger shop, for example. We want to work together really with our eye on the long term and take that approach to growing our shared business. We all know we're working through an extended downturn right now, and there's still quite a bit of uncertainty out there as it relates to the economy in general. And so in our minds, it's best to work through that together by coming up with ideas to help your vendors and customers and in turn, as I mentioned, grow our shared business. We also know that our broker sources want to work with a funding source that does business the right way and be someone that they can count on for the long term. And we're looking for partners to work with that take that same sort of approach. And we're actively considering new broker relationships with established companies or where there might have been prior experience working in the industry. So with all that said, if you think you'd be interested in working with Navitas or would like more information, we invite you to email us at partnerfunding@navitascredit.com, or you can call us at the phone number you see on the screen there at 800-516-0761. And with that said, again, I thank you very much for your patience and for tuning in for the presentation. And Monica, if it works for you at this point, I'd like to open it up for any questions anybody might have.
Absolutely. And just as a reminder, if you can type your questions in the Q&A box, we'll get those answered for you. We do have a question about custom programs. They're asking if there's anything for agricultural or seasonal payment terms.
Sure. Those are both certainly areas that that we have lent in the past. So the short answer would be, by all means, we can consider a wide variety of asset types in the ag space, particularly through our asset-based team. And then seasonal payments are very much standard for us. We're accustomed to those as well.
Okay, perfect. And do you have specific people in different regions, or when people sign up with you, they get a rep, and whoever that is not specific to their region?
Yeah, great question. We are a little bit different in that we have all of our reps in house that we sort of assign on a rotating basis, and so we don't divide our rep accounts by geography.
Okay,
So all of our reps have accounts in all of the time zones, so to speak.
gotcha. Um, this person said that you mentioned that we're coming off an extended downturn. Can you tell us more about that?
That's a loaded question.
I know there's
um,
definitely been some, like, transportation industry's been hit, and things like that have definitely been tough.
yeah, I would probably hold to that just as a general statement. The reality is, and I've had this conversation with a number of our competitors, our friendly competitors in the industry, and just kind of comparing notes on what we've all seen over the last handful of years as it relates to, um, you know, delinquencies, overall activity. And it's not really, we can certainly point to some specific industries that maybe are having a tougher time or a better time than others, but generally speaking, the economy's been a little bit depressed on the commercial lending side of things. We're seeing it right now, just as an example, um, particularly with regard to the Middle East and inflation being as high as it is. There's a lot of hesitation on the part of borrowers to move forward, particularly on larger ticket deals. The larger size deal that you see, we're seeing a lot of hesitation on the part of the borrower. And so that's something that we are very aware of. Everyone in the industry is seeing it similarly, and just business in general. The number of opportunities out there right now are limited, and they have been for some time. It's tougher in general to find new deals, and we're hearing that pretty much across the board from all of our sources.
Yeah, I'm sure that the interest rates going up and people were kind of waiting. A lot of people, I think, were waiting to see if they were going to go down, but I feel like they've leveled out a little bit. They're not quite as volatile as they have been. So maybe people will stop waiting around and they'll just get on with it.
Well, the reality is, business owners can't wait forever, right?
Right.
Whether it's equipment that sort of wears out over time, they need to replace it, or they know that the need for the equipment is there. You can only wait so long, and so to your point, Monica, we were sort of hoping that eventually interest rates would really start to go down. That's certainly taken longer than we were all hoping.
Mhm.
But at some point, if you're a business owner, you wait only so long. You really do have to stay the course if you're going to be able to continue to service your customers and whatever it is you do. So we think when things really do start to break loose, it's going to be we feel good about where we're positioned to be able to take advantage of that for sure.
Yeah. Bill wants to know if you have any age restrictions.
I'm sorry, repeat that for me.
If you have any age restrictions, I don't know if that, like, age on the equipment, maybe.
Sure. Um, mainly, this mainly has to do with titled equipment for us. So depending on the type of vehicle, we do have certain restrictions with regard to mileage, depending on the age of the unit. As a general rule, we restrict a piece of titled equipment, for example, to no more than 15 years age by the time the term of the financing is up.
Okay. On franchises, what's the max soft cost that is allowed?
We certainly have some flexibility there. Um, it's not uncommon for us to do 50% or more with regard to soft costs. So um, we do in the franchise space. Most of what we do is new location builds or store acquisitions. And so you can imagine on an acquisition, you get, or builds for that matter, a lot of soft costs. So we deal in regional or national concepts, and we're typically looking at location number 3 or up for a given franchisee. just to provide a little bit more color to the franchise lending that we do.
Do you have any prepayment penalties?
We don't have any penalties, so to speak. That is something that we have learned, that when you're having that conversation with a borrower, you want to be as clear as possible as to what it means when there is an early payoff. So our default early payoff for a contract after the initial 12 months is that we will discount the remaining stream of payments to present value at a rate of 3%. We do offer some other products that allow for an early payoff that might be a little bit more forgiving, but we would talk about those more on a one-off basis.
Let me give it just a second or two to see if anybody has any other questions before we wrap up. As soon as I start to wrap up, somebody asks a question. So
Sure.
Okay, I am not seeing anything. So I want to say a big thanks to all of our participants, and especially our valued funding source member and silver sponsor, Navitas Partner Funding. Thanks for a great job, Ron. And we invite everyone to meet with Navitas in person at the AACFB Commercial Financing Expo coming up this October in Irvine, California. Thanks again for joining us, and have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.